All right. Hey, brother Neil. How you doing,
Hey
man?
Nate, hello.
All right, all right.
How you doing,
Thanks
Chris?
for being
God
on,
bless
my
you, man.
brother.
Welcome, brother.
Good.
Yeah, yeah. Brother Chris is saying hello to you. Yeah. Brother Chris, thank you so much for giving us this platform again. Hey, we're on uh, the Voice 17104 Harrisburg, 17104.com. And this is the Writer's Wordshop. My name's Nathaniel Gadsden, and this is Brother Neil Owens. Neil's out of North Carolina, High Point, North Carolina. And I'm here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I'm the founder of the Writer's Wordshop. We started this the organization back in 1977, and we've been going strong ever since. So that means we're celebrating this year some 47 years of existence, and happy to, be a part of this wonderful institution. Hey, I just want to thank everybody who participated in the Martin Luther King celebrations. I don't know about you, but I got out and got involved in some really good ones, and we had one ourselves. The Writers' Workshop, we sponsored one on Monday morning, which was Dr. King's birthday, the 15th, and we had, a wonderful array of things that took place. I want to thank, of course, Nicole Wilkerson, who is our events coordinator and one of our board members. And Nicole has what is called Nicole is Making It Happen. And she really did make it happen. Boy, I tell you, we had a young lady by the name of Nicole Taylor, I believe, or Tate, Nicole Tate. And she brought along a number of women, and I think a couple men too, but especially women who, did a little workout routine for us.
You better stop or I lock your butt outside.
Got everybody up and moving, and it was a lot of fun. And then we had the school cheerleaders who actually got up and did cheers for us, but also served the food that was provided by Denise Lickers, who's an excellent cook and caterer. If you're looking for an event, you're having an event, and you want to have a nice caterer, someone who really knows how to make soul food, good food, you want to check out Denise Lickers, and I can tell you more about how to reach her. But anyhow, it was a great event. We had vendors, about 12 vendors or more, who had an array of things to give out, and we had a lot of fun with that. And then, of course, we had sip and paint for the adults and coloring with crayons for our youth. And our youth did a wonderful job of, okay, Brother Chris, man, I'll tell you, my brother, you see Nanette Swanson there standing up in the all white with the little thing around her waist, but you see some of our vendors, and these are people doing their thing. This young lady there, that's Nicole's in the brown sweater, that's Nicole's cousin, and she was the light. She came out and was a real big help. They're the cheerleaders from Harrisburg High School, and I forget her name, but their mentor. She's a teacher in the Harrisburg district, has been for years, just retired, and now she's still working with the cheerleaders. The cheerleaders were giving out the food. The food was all free, by the way. It was a wonderful breakfast. Check out all them sausages and pancakes and eggs and grits. So we had a good time. And it was all free. We provided through the workshop itself. And so you see the potatoes and all that stuff. It was a good time, really good time. And the vendors were pleased. Most of them were able to do a lot. You see, that's in the blue jacket there. That was Ro Brady. Hopefully, Ro will be on tonight. She's an excellent writer. And then right next to her is Maria Chow. Maria Chow is both of them are outstanding poets, and they did poetry for us that day. At the same time, they both worked on the play, which Maria wrote, called Hair Story, which was just a knockout, runaway hit here. That is Representative Patty Kim's in the red. And she stopped by. State Representative Patty Kim is now running to become a senator here in Pennsylvania. And that, of course, is Nicole Wilkerson standing next to Patty Kim. That was a great surprise for us that Patty Kim stopped in to the event. And you can see our girl, Nicole. And there's myself in the middle, along with my wife, Pat, standing with Patty Kim. And, again, we were just glad to have her there. And she got up and spoke to the crowd as well. And good thing. You can see we had the tables down, people buying stuff, as you can see. Again, they had the paint and sip going on, and painting and all that kind of good stuff. Good time. Good time. I want to thank Deborah Lynn. Deborah Lynn is the owner of that facility, and she now has another one that's opening up as well. So she has 2 facilities, and you can see some of the paintings that people did and drawings. There you go. Check them out, ladies. Good stuff. Yeah. Everybody was really happy and pleased with their creations. Look at that. All right, ladies. Yeah. Real good stuff. So that's Wendy Noche Onye standing up, and Wendy comes on quite a bit. Wendy's an outstanding poet, and she did her poetry as well for us on Monday. And that was her mother, in fact, who came up from I think she's in North Carolina, I believe, as well. But anyhow, yeah, so her mother came up and was with us along for sisters. Good stuff, real good stuff. So also, let me mention something that I'm a part of, a board member for the Martin Luther King Leadership Development Institute. And we had our first class today. And I was able to open up the class by doing a presentation around Dr. Martin Luther King, his life, and what the Institute is all about, and what King stood for. I'm going to hold up this little brochure here. And let me see, there you go. And you see that brother right there in the middle? That's Brother Joe Robinson. The lady at the top is Dr. Dorothy King. I want to tell you about her. That's Brother Joe Robinson. Joe is the executive director of the Martin Luther King Leadership Development Institute, and has been from the beginning of the new, institute, because we sort of stopped and started again. And Joe's the spearhead behind that. That's Ann Van Dyke. Ann Van Dyke is retired from the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission and has done national work, and I'll tell you about her. And then, of course, there's Dr. Cherie Livingston, who I just found out is a distant cousin of mine, and she is a medical doctor. She's an OBGYN with UPMC hospitals, and you talk about a dynamic system, man. All these people I want to lift up because they were honored at Hershey Convention Center on Monday night, and it was an outstanding program. And the speaker, by the way, was Chad Lassiter, who is the executive director of the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission. But real quick, let me just say this, and then I'm gonna turn to my brother, Neil Owens there. Dr. Dorothy King, who's at the top of the brochure here, she is an outstanding poet and writer, but she was being honored because she's an outstanding playwright. And so for the past 30-something years, or maybe longer, she has produced a play once a year around Martin Luther King's birthday at Penn State Harrisburg. And her plays have been, noted throughout this region. And Penn State has really backed her on these plays. And these are all original plays. She never does the same one twice. And so she's come up with some outstanding concepts. She's an excellent playwright, excellent poet. Years ago, she grew up in York, Pennsylvania, went to New York and, did a lot of work there. And I came back, and she gave life to the Writers' Wordshop. Back in the day, she came in and she did some outstanding programming for us and just kind of brought a new life. We actually read at the African Poetry Theater in New York City, which was founded and headed by John Watusi Branch, a dynamic poet who also was really connected to Africa, went back and forth to Ghana every year, at least twice. And Dorothy set it up where we were able to go up, take a group up, and she had been a presenter for years. And we went up and presented as the Writers' Workshop at the African Poetry Theater. And then later on, I was invited to come up. There was a brother, and I can't call his name right now, but outstanding jazz artist who really made a splash, had a detour in his life, the addiction and all that. Got his life together, and this was going to be his breakout comeback, to the scene. And so they had him at the African Poetry Theater, and they asked me if I would do some poetry in the intermission. And it was just a wonderful night. My wife and I, along with my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, we went up and, had a great time there in New York. And I had no idea who this brother was. We did a yodel. Everyone knew him for the yodel. And then, my book was well received as well. So anyhow, that's what so I could go on and on and on. But anyhow, it was just a great time. There were a lot of different events going on. I also want to give real quick a shout out to the World Affairs Council of Harrisburg. They did their poetry and storytelling event that they do every year for high school students. Pat and I, my wife and I, were judges once again, and then myself, Rick Kearns, who's the current poet laureate for the city of Harrisburg, Hispanic brother. Also, Maria Chow, who brought the house down. She just was fantastic that night. And then also another sister, that one brother couldn't make it. And then another sister, who happened to be the poet laureate for, I think it was Jackson State University. She got up and just did one, off the. And here's another one, the MLK leader. This was actually Brother Floyd Stokes and his program, a wonderful program he puts on along with his American Literacy Council. And that's Floyd right there, along with Aisha Mobley. And Floyd's like a legend in this area. He's been all over the country. He's literally presented in all 50 states. And he does a lot of work with youth. And there you see some of the outstanding leaders of our community, all of them, from the, just going on and on. Anyhow, we had a great time here in the Harrisburg area and hope you did as well. So having said that, again, let me welcome Brother Neil Owens. Brother Neil, welcome, man. So glad that you came on tonight. Anything down your way that you can lift up and tell us about?
Well, it's like what's going on in High Point is everybody. It was some good celebrations for Dr. Martin Luther King birthday. A lot of people are remembering that, a lot of support. So that's very good. Very happy to see the people not forgetting Dr. King.
Fantastic, absolutely.
Keeping close to him. So that was real good. That was the most important thing that occurred down here. High Point is like people just moving around in life,
Yeah.
A lot of Trumpers riding all around the place, you got them all around, their stickers and all that stuff.
I understand. Yeah, but listen, life goes on and people keep moving. One of the things I've noticed, man, I don't know if you're seeing the same thing, there's a resurgence of poetry readings, in-person poetry readings up in this area. And we're getting ready to do the same thing. I've just been kind of trying to bide my time to see what the best thing's going to be. And I've decided that we have a space. Ro, how you doing? So good to see Ro coming on. Yeah.
Hey, Neil.
Hey, Ro.
Yeah, we have a space at 900 South Arlington Avenue. That's where our offices are located. And so I've decided that we're going to make our readings out there and see if we can gather up people and get folks interested to get into in-person poetry readings. And so we used to do it every single Friday night. And now, of course, we have this platform, and I like this platform. But I do want to come for a day or a time, whatever, that we can be consistent and that folks will embrace. And we can have both adults and youth, interacting in poetry and have that open forum again, So we're going to make that happen. Anyhow, so that's what's going on there. Ro, we were just talking about Martin Luther King celebrations and all that, and I just pointed out, brother Chris brought us some video, and it showed photos, I should say. It showed you and Maria at the event that we had on Monday morning.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for your reading, as well as Sister Maria and Wendy, and others who got up and read their poetry. I appreciate it. Thank you for being there and giving your support.
Oh, well, you're welcome. I always have a good time at your events.
Appreciate that. We always have a good time seeing you there. And I know you're working on a lot. So let's get to it tonight. There's a lot of things that we can talk about. Always want to talk about reading. Always want to read some of our works. And if you have anything that you'd like to read tonight, either one of you, either Neil or Ro, did you have anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, excellent. How about you, Brother Neil?
Yeah, I'll share something.
Good. Let's do that then. Then, one of the things that I really, I was doing a piece with Dr. Martin Luther King's Leadership Development Institute today. And the one thing I meant to end with, and I didn't do it, and I was just going through this poem again by Amanda Gorman, that young prodigy, if you will, the poet who read at President Biden's inauguration. And this was the poem that she read called The Hill We Climb. And there was a passage in here, and I like to, and I'm not going to read the whole poem. I just want to, just read just a little bit of it. Again, it's called The Hill We Climb, an inaugural poem for the country by Amanda Gorman. And it was a foreword by Oprah Winfrey, nonetheless. Come on now. And this young lady is a graduate of Harvard University, too, by the way. And there's a very prestigious sort of shrine that they have at Harvard that lifts up, people who've done a lot. And I think she's the youngest to ever be enshrined in this particular exhibit that they have. But here's something I really thought was powerful. And I want this for everybody that's in the hearing of this piece. And this is only a little part of the poem. I'll say that again. And it's starting on page 14. It says, we, the successors of a country and a time, where a skinny Black girl, descended from slaves and raised by a single mother, can dream of becoming president only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but this doesn't mean we're striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so that we can reach our arms out to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true, that even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we tired, we tried, that we'll forever be tied together, victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Sculpture tells us to envision that everyone shall set under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in the bridges we've made. That is the promised glade, the hill we climb, if only we dare it, because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. And this effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith, we trust. For while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. And I'm gonna stop right there. I just thought that piece, just the whole poem, but just that passage, those passages right there. History has its eyes on us. And I say that because we are writers. And what we write, lives beyond us, really. Somewhere along the line, we may not think it now. Somebody's going to pick up our words and our works, even after we're no longer physically here. And those things will live on because why? We'll put them in book form and, we're making videos and doing these kind of things. And I'm here to tell you, we may not think so, but our words carry both power, they carry presence, carries perspective, purpose and all of that. And so, history, the people, they have their eyes on us. So I just hope we as writers and spoken word artists and creators of plays and other, venues, hope that we take that platform very seriously. It's given to us now, but one day,
But that's so funny that you say this because I just had this very same conversation with a friend of mine. And I was telling her, I said, she was sharing with me, which I was so surprised because I had asked her to do a inspirational column for the Black Wall Street. And she periodically sends me things and then I'll send them back to her, say, this would be really sensational if you would add this or take this out. And she was sharing with me how I motivate her to keep going. I was like, really? I was surprised by her saying that. And I said to her, one day when I'm gone, I'm gonna be the next Zora Neale Hurston. I am going to be famous posthumously. And she stopped talking that way. And I said, yeah. And I said, I got a stack of notebooks over here in the corner. I've got books that I have either started or books that I have published and done things with. And I said, at my memorial service, I said, instead of having, you can eat if you want to, by all means eat. But what I want you to do is all these things that I've done, I want you to give them away. And I told my kids, I was like, I want you to go like to my Amazon account and I want you to get more books, and at my memorial service, I just want you to pass them out to people. And they're like, that's just, we don't want to think that. I was like, but that's what I'm asking you to do. I'm like, I'm going to give you all my passwords for all, like I've got plays right now on my computer. I've got short stories that I've started. I've got like manuscripts. I was like, just publish them.
Yeah.
And they're
I
all
feel
like,
so guilty. Thank you for sharing that. Years ago, many years ago, I was called by Will Pollard, the great poet from this area who had national presence. And he written a book, and he called me and he said, Nate, I want to share this with you. He said, and there's a reason why I'm sharing this with you. He said, because I know my time is coming to an end. He said, I've been given a diagnosis. He said, and I need this work to live on beyond me. And so we talked, and I never published that work. And so it hit me not long ago. I need to find that work, pick that work up again, and publish that work. He entrusted that with me, and I thought, man, and I was so into losing him that I forgot the mission he put me on. And so it was like, wow, and I concentrated all this on, he died and what he meant. And we've, done some things in his honor, but that book needs to be published, and I will do that. I've made up my mind. I need God to, give me guidance, strength, the resources, everything that is needed to make this happen. And I will, because that was what he said to me. And it didn't dawn on me just how responsible and how, first off, how honored I should be, and then how responsible I should feel to do exactly what he requested me to do. He did all that writing for what? For the world to enjoy it. And so, yeah. So thank you for saying that. I'm with you. I think that would be a perfect thing. By the way, real quickly, I received a wonderful gift of all these African artifacts, all these books and everything else from a lady who had lived in Africa for years, a white female, and she passed away, and it was sobering that her daughter, her only daughter, I believe, was entrusted with all this stuff. And she found out that nobody in their family, highly educated family, this kind of thing, but nobody wanted any of that. And so she said, I don't know what to do with this. And so she talked to me. We just happened by chance to meet. And she said, if I gave you this, could you pass it out? Could you give it to people who would appreciate it? And the first persons I thought of were the Africans. And it was interesting because it's almost like what happened to Michael, to the guys who created the finger, the thing that you put on your finger when you're playing basketball. If you get a little cut, put that little sleeve on there, and how they said, oh, this would be great. But they kept going to the wrong person. They wanted Michael Jordan to take this thing and, make it big because he was the greatest basketball player. Jordan had no interest. And then finally someone said, don't give it to the player, give it to the trainer. Said the trainer is the one that's looking for something. When a finger, and so they gave it to, they were Chicago Bulls fans. They gave it to the trainer of the Indiana Pacers? Yeah, the Indiana Pacers. And the trainer of the Indiana Pacers immediately said, oh yeah, this is what I need. Took it and gave it to Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller wore the finger. He's supposedly the first one. And then everybody started wearing the finger. Now I don't know if it still is a fashion, but it was a big time fashion statement back in the day. I remember going to the Africans, and I'll just say it that way, and they looked at me as if to say, well, what would we do with this? They said, we got all this, in fact, we give this to the Americans. You're the ones that are really enthralled with this. And I was like, Florida, what? But they were saying to me, but we grew up with this. We know this. We can put our hands on this anytime, So they were saying to me, and though Pat and I both kind of looked at each other and thought, well, yeah. But no, they said, no. You give it to the persons who really, can relate to it. We can relate to it, but it's like every day to us. So how about those people that don't have it? And I thought, wow. But think about this. Even though she had put 20 years of her life into Africa, studying this and that, nobody in her family wanted it. Nobody. I thought that was kind of sad, when you think about that. Can you imagine doing all the writing that you're doing all the great work that you're doing, and nobody and your family would say, that was beautiful. I mean, they did not honor their mother, grandmother, whatever at all. They simply gave it all away. Wow. That's just, I don't know. Nathaniel, how about yourself? I know what Rose said. How about you? What do you think when you think of your writings, your books, your novels?
Well, I feel like Roe as well. That at my passing, that my works be just handed out. I write for, you fight into the world. Doesn't necessarily, but there's just one person. If there's one person that's touched by what you're writing, that one person is enough. And that's the key when you as an author and you're writing. One person is enough.
Mhm.
You got me and another person. I'm the author and then the reader. That one is enough. That's why Jesus said, "Where two or three are gathered, there am I also." And that's enough. So I don't, I don't really need to. That's why I don't really need to. I don't write to try to satisfy, people. I don't write commercially so that people want to enjoy it. I mean, I think it is commercial and they should enjoy it, but I don't particularly care if they do or not, as long as there is just that one person out there who is touched by what I've written.
Yeah, I so agree. Like on we were at, when was that? Saturday? We were at the program. I sold 4 books, but I was sharing with one lady about, my Warm Heart series is really the story of my parents. She called her friend over and she said, "Oh," and I mean they actually bought the book. But what she said to me just like grabbed me by the heart because she said, I told her the story and she said, "Oh, you got to come over here and buy one of these books." She said, "Because this story seems like it's going to be so dope." Because she said it's like she wrote this book based upon her parents' relationship. And I go back and I tell her, she said, "Oh, that does really sound cool." She said, "Yeah, we want to buy one." And then she took down my card and said, she says, "Well, I don't have the money for the whole series, but I definitely want to start the first one." And it was like I had gotten this new person who thought my story, just me, or, telling her about what I had wrote about. She thought, wow. And then she called someone over and I told her, and she was like, "Oh, this sounds so good." And then they read the back of the book and they're like, "Oh, I want to read this." And it was just like that was enough for me. Like the average person selling 4 books that day was a thought like, "Oh, I wish I would have made more." My thought was, I just got another reader who is excited about something I wrote. And then she told somebody else about something I wrote. So I totally agree with you, Neil. It just takes one person to be excited about something that you put out in the universe.
Amen. Yeah.
Right.
Amen.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And there are other writers who feel differently, and their perspective, everyone has a perspective. The question is, what drives you? And also, I just want to challenge everybody. It doesn't matter if it's 1 or 1 million. Like you said, if you're doing it and you have purpose behind it, and if you touch 1, if you touch 1 million, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you wrote it, and you wrote it from your heart or from your gift. Let's put it that way. So, and that's the other conversation we probably need to have. I remember listening to, I forget her name now, but she had her own talk show and everything, and I'm driving. I just happened to stumble on it. But she had bell hooks on before she passed away, of course, and a couple other dynamic writers. And they were talking about whether or not, and to your point, Neil, do you write for somebody or do you just, and so their whole thing was, and the one person in particular kept saying, "I don't care what you write about, who you write about, what you're writing for." I just care that you write with purpose, with passion, and that you do your best. She said, so many people just throwing stuff out there, because of Amazon, whatever, they can get it published now. And so we're such a hurry. That's why it's so important that Rose started a editing business. She said, edit your book. She said, don't have 1,000 mistakes out there. And by the time it gets out there, and then oh my goodness, and said, that's so distracting. And it shows sloppiness, and also it says, well, you really don't care about your gift. So she said, don't put it out there until you know that it's ready. Said, because that represents you and it represents what you think of yourself. And I just remember listening to this conversation all the way from Pittsburgh to Harrisburg, whatever. And I thought it was just right on. Yeah, because I've done that. I've rushed through something wanting to go. The question is there, but why are you doing this? You know, are you putting your best foot forward? Is this a gift or not? Do you honor this gift? You know, and I would suggest to you that, especially to you guys and the people that come on the Writers Workshop here, you're gifted writers, not just writers. You really do write well, and I think you write with a spiritual guidance that's behind you. There's a reason why you have this gift, and so we honor that gift by doing our best. You know, at least that's my perspective, and that's my challenge to myself. I must honor my gift by doing better. I won't say my best, doing better. You know, so. Anyhow, having said all that, let's do some reading tonight. You know, let's open up and do a little something and share a little something that either you wrote or that you come across that kind of touches you. I was really touched by this hill I climbed, but that one passage that I read there, for whatever reason, that's really been sticking in my mind. Yeah, they're looking at us. You know, they really are, whoever they may be. So that sticks with me. How about you, Ro? Did you have something? Or Neil? Neil has actually, I always try to go with who came on first kind of thing. I don't know if
Well, let's
Neil
go with
wants to.
Ro. I like to hear what Ro is.
Okay, let's go with Ro, ladies first. I appreciate that. Ro, if you don't mind.
Sure. I think this was a fairly new one. It's called I Said to Self.
I said to self.
I said to self, SELF.
Mhm.
I sat down, really sat myself down. I needed a quiet space to talk to the spirit that causes this heart to beat. I needed to ask self if she felt the presence of her greatness. Had she forgotten that she was wonderfully and fearfully made? There are no replications, duplications, or extra copies floating around the universe. She is an original. She is time sensitive. Tomorrow's not promised, but plans have already been made to prosper her. She's no joke. Nothing to be taken lightly. She is on the cutting edge of creativity. Her talents will make room for her. The possibilities are endless. And no, her head has not gotten too big, nor does she walk in the presence of conceit. These are the presents from the master. You see, she has chosen to open each one and bask in her creator's generosity. There is no time like this very moment to find your truth. She will walk with you tightly, holding your hand and helping you find your way. Sincerely, Self.
Mm.
I like that. Sincerely self. Good stuff. Yeah.
That's
Appreciate that. What inspired you to write that, Ro?
Somebody told me, like my friend that I was telling you, who told me like I motivate her to want to always continue to write when she thinks she should stop.
Yeah. Cool.
That that piece brings home the the realization that basically not the realization, but the point of the importance that people should be tuning in right now to absorb the information that was being shared, especially that piece. There's a lot of people right now that's going through a lot of things, and that piece of touching on self, I mean, it relates to everybody, no matter what your situation is. I mean, everybody has been in, everybody can relate to that piece right there. You're talking about self. But everybody's had that conversation with self, regardless of what it may have been about. But they've had that conversation with self. And so these things are very good. I'm just through the whole process of this the writers workshop and they putting it together, man. It's really, just really to absorb all the information that's being given out there for people to actually absorb, to learn, to feel. I mean, the pieces that Chris put together with the spoken word videos, and I mean, all this is just some very powerful stuff. It's very, very powerful.
Amen.
And you know, it needs to be recognized, but it's always few, man. It's always the that absorb the greatness in the world.
Amen. Amen. So true, Bill. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's why
You
Jesus
know,
said, few there be that will go to
yeah.
take us the farthest way. You find it,
But you
man.
know, it's interesting though. The world's a big place, man. So part of what happens, I believe, we have a few here, a few there, a few there, you know. And so when those few can come together, especially with a platform like this, we
Right.
become not the few, but the many. And
That's
so
right.
I was looking at what's his name, True Selvey, he goes by. He's out of Harrisburg. I think he's now in DC, New York or whatever. And then also what is her name? My goodness, Nataki Bhatti. She's an outstanding artist and poet and lived here in Harrisburg for years. And Taki's been in, I think, northern Pennsylvania for a long time. Anyhow, they were both at some kind of poetry venue on Facebook. And it looked like they were out in California. I could be wrong. But, you know, it's just exciting to see this, you know, poetry venue that was really kind of an outstanding forum that they had. The stage was outstanding and people were sitting all around the stage like, and the person was kind of elevated up and whoever was reading, you know, they had this looked like deaf poetry jam kind of set. And the atmosphere was electric, you know. I'm thinking, wow, look at this. But anyhow, that's happening over there, it's happening over here. So there are a few over here, you know, maybe 10, 15, 20, 30 people, you know, but all around the world it's happening. So we're part of a larger whole, even though we may think we're few, you know, especially with a platform like this, as we keep it out there, you know, and unfortunately, there's been some people who've messed up the free flow of this now because they came on with all that nonsense, you know, the so-called Trump supporters, you know, showing pornography, cursing, just showing their real ignorance. By them coming on, then we had to sort of limit, you know, the access to the platform. But at least by having it on Facebook and then other platforms, and thanks to, you know, the genius of Brother Chris, we're able to share what we say in the words. And so hopefully we are inspiring other people to not see themselves as just a few, but to see themselves connected to the collective whole. And whatever you do, don't stop writing, don't stop believing. Create that platform, even if it's just 4 or 5 of you or 2 of you, create it wherever you are. If it doesn't exist, then you be the spark to make it exist and join into this thing called the spoken word, you know, in the spirit of the spoken word. I do want to say 2 things real quick and honor my sister-in-law. My wife Pat and my daughter Terry, they're going down to DC tomorrow to actually it's right outside of DC, it's in Maryland, to get books. You know, Terry is a publisher, and her aunt is Donna Washington, and Donna is outstanding therapist. She's just really knocked it out of the park. Graduate of Lincoln University and all that, and so she wrote a book called Donna Says. And it's an inspirational book for persons who are going through something. Donna has a huge clientele. In fact, I don't know if she can take any more clients at this point. And she thought about it. And it's like all the various advice that she's giving out to people that she's seeing. And so she wrote a book called Donna Says. So they're going down to get boxes of the books and help her to distribute it here in this area. But hats off to Donna. Congratulations. I can't wait to read the book myself. And whatever you do, keep on keeping on. And it's published through T-Dub Publishing, which is Terry's, you know, Terry's book platform. There was one other thing I was going to tell you about as well, and it's now it's going like shoot. But anyhow, that for sure I wanted to lift up, and anyhow, I'll let that go. What you are going to do is I'm going to ask Brother Neil if you want to read something now, and then we'll do a video or 2 from Brother Chris because I know you all prepared some for us. Or did you want to wait to the video, or would you like to read now, Neil?
Okay, yeah, I can go ahead and read now.
Yeah, why don't you go? Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna read from The Rise and Fall of the Fourth Reich, piece I'm working on now. So this is a scene from that. This is day 43 of the coup in America. At the daily morning meeting in the Situation Room, the president angrily said, "Find that National Guard who joined the protesters and execute him and his family. Cannot allow others to feel free to do the same." The Secretary of Defense said, Mr. President, we have a bigger problem. The people aren't afraid to die. They're standing in front of tanks. When a tank rolls over that person, another person jumps in front of the tank. We are arresting and shooting curfew violators nationwide, but they are continuing to ignore the curfew. They're even sleeping in the streets now. The Labor Secretary said people are walking off their jobs and others are refusing to go to work. Replace them, the president said. That's easier said than done, Mr. President. Most of the jobs are skilled workers. The FBI director said we have killed the known leaders, but now they have evolved into everyone as the leader. We have cut off their phones and blocked the television and radio signals, but they are still communicating with each other. How do you know that? The president asked. Because they are doing the same thing nationwide. I don't know what to make of it. Interrogation and torture haven't revealed anything. It's like they are possessed by some type of alien force that doesn't fear death or worry about the basic needs to live. We need to discover how they are communicating and cut it off. The president angrily said, isn't that your job? It's the job of all the intelligence agents. Then do it. How difficult can it be? You should have infiltrated them in every city by now. We have. That's the problem. We are still unable to learn how they are communicating. We have ears on the underground radio, but they're speaking in some type of code. The president asked what are the words they're using. Superman, Spider-Man, the Hawk, and a bunch of gibberish. The president said Superman, Spider-Man, and Hawk are heroes. Have you considered that is the code name for their leaders? We have, but I said earlier, everyone is a leader, so Superman, Spider-Man, and the Hawk are not one person. Keep working on it. The Secretary of Defense said, Mr. President, what are you going to do about the curfew violators? What are we going to do about the curfew violators? Keep arresting them and shooting them. That's killing the morale among our troops. Put the militia on the front line. The vice chair interjected, remove the curfew and restore the communication lines, Mr. President. We need to provide the people with a sense of normalcy. They are defying the curfew because there is a curfew. Let them have the freedom to go to the stores, parks, theaters, sporting events, and socialize. The more things they can do, the less they will think about the things they can't do. The president smiled and said to the vice chair, excellent suggestion. When the meeting ended, state media announced the lifting of the curfew and the streets were open 24 hours again. That evening, Congressman Reeves met with the vice chair. We have to put things in motion right now, the vice chair said. That one National Guardsman has opened everything for us. The soldiers are looking for new orders and the people aren't bowing down. We need to eliminate the chair. By eliminate, you mean kill. Yes, there is no other way. The president will believe it's the opposition. You saw how he looked at me. He will appoint me as the new chair. I will give new orders to the troops and the president and his enablers will be arrested. You will be appointed Speaker of the House and take the presidency to restore the Constitution. If all goes well, and it will if we can remove the chair, but that will be very difficult. Yes, it will, but now's the time to start planning. Let's stop there.
I just pictured the guy pacing in a room with a big mahogany desk, wearing a navy blue pinstripe suit.
There you go. For the reader, the hearer of the word to put their vision on it, on just what was happening and what they look like.
Yeah.
Powerful. You know, it's interesting, Neil. I thought about you. I was talking to Lee Hinton, I believe is his name. He just created a very unique theater company here in Harrisburg. Is it Naziri Theater, something like that? And he's doing a lot of groundbreaking theater in the sense that it's very culturally sensitive, very poignant in terms of it's always a message.
You mean
to his work.
Frank Henley?
Yeah.
Are you talking about Frank Henley?
I said Lee Henley, right? I think Frank Henley
Yeah, it's
it's
Frank.
Frank Henley. Okay.
Oh,
Frank
okay.
Henley.
I thought you meant someone else at Hope. I was like, somebody else? Oh, yeah, Frank.
I always call him, I don't know why I keep calling him Lee, but anyhow, but yeah, Frank Henley, okay. And his father, was his father the Franklin Henry that was the pastor? Do you know? Okay, yeah, I
His
figured it
sister
was.
is a pastor at our church.
Yeah, oh, your church.
Yeah, his
No,
sister is.
oh, it's Frank, oh, so he's part of your church.
No, he doesn't go to my church. His sister is a pastor at our church.
Oh, get out of here. Okay, yeah. Yeah, his father, if I'm correct, was the pastor of St. Paul's Baptist Church.
Yep.
And yeah, that's him. Okay, fantastic. But anyhow, he is doing some really groundbreaking work from what I understand. And he's doing a reader's piece along with what is his name? Linwood Sloan and some others. And he approached me about being a part of that, which I'm going to do. But anyhow, that's something that's big in certain parts of the country, New York and places like that. They actually have people that they don't act it out; they literally read the play, and folks come and will set in on those things as if they're going to a play. And when you read, I think about you on stage, giving your work and doing a reader's piece. It's a flat out reader's piece, and having the audience come to witness, and it's amazing how magical apparently that can be. We did it one time down at the State Museum, and I just was kind of just playing with it, and I cut it because we were doing a play, and I just did the first scene, and I had no idea that the people were so invested in it. They got angry at me because I was moving on doing the poetry, this and that. And so my supervisor at the time, who I was working for United Way, he came into my office the next day. He said, "What happened?" I said, "What you mean?" He said, "That was excellent." He said, "But you stopped." He said, "Well, that wasn't the whole play. What And so he said, "Well, yeah, people really." And then my wife said to me too. She said, "Well, that why'd you do it that way? You should have done the whole darn thing, because people got so invested in that other stuff. They didn't want to hear that after you started. And I was like, wow, because when the people read it, I had Howard Bryan. I can stick all the people in it. They read it as if they were really acting it out. And I mean, they really got into it, but they were just simply reading the script. And it was kind of like I said, let's test it out, see how people, and plus they wanted to rehearse it. So we're just using their voice. You use your voice in a very unique way, I think you do, and Ro, you do as well. That when you are reading, I'm listening, I'm captivated, I'm into it. And as Ro began to describe what she saw, I saw things as well. And so that's something you may want to think about it. Is that something that, another part of your repertoire, both of you, that you could actually do something other than this, the great big production, to have an intimate setting where you actually do a reading of your work, and people know they're coming to hear a reading of your work. And then the other part that they incorporated that was like a question and answer, that kind of thing. Cherry did it when she did her first novel, and she did it for book clubs. And she said she tried not to read, but people kept asking her to read it. We love it when you read. And so she did read, and then they would question her about the characters and all that stuff. So anyway, just something to think about. Something to think about. By the way, I do want to endorse the movie called The Book of Clarence. Going to be very controversial for some, fantastic for me. It's a book, it's a movie that talks about Christ in a different kind of way, but also it has a lot of metaphor. And for those of us who are really into the word, so to speak, you'll see the play on a lot of stuff, and especially when you think about the racial issues and the cultural issues that we often question when it comes down to the development of Christianity. The Book of Clarence is something I highly recommend. I thought it was really, I had no idea what I was going into. I thought to myself, this is going to be a mess. And no, I like it. Everybody may not be everybody's cup of tea, but all of us who came out of the theater, there are a lot of, quote unquote, persons who are churched and, been in church for a long time. And we all stood there and talked for a minute. And we were all like, wow, we didn't expect it. That was pretty cool. And we acknowledge that there are going to be some parts that people will be like, oh, I don't know about that. Powerful to me, though. Powerful to me. So anyhow, the Book of Clarence is out if you get a chance to see it. Check it out. My endorsement, you may feel differently. Color Purple, the musical, fantastic. I'm going to see it again, hopefully tomorrow. Checking that out for the second time.
You can stream it already.
You can stream it's on where?
It's I just saw it on Netflix. I
It's
didn't
on
see it, but
Netflix?
yeah, it's on. There was an advertisement for it on Netflix. You can stream it now.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Uh-huh.
I won't waste my time because I love sitting at home and eating my own popcorn and was saving that money. But you know, I highly recommend that too. I just
Yeah.
thought it was good.
Good.
I love it on the big screen, of course, and that's why I love going to the movies. But yeah, if you can stream it now, hey, I'm
Yeah.
gonna look into that. Thank you. Thanks for letting me know that. I didn't think it would be long in the theaters. I thought it would, because of the way things are going these days. But to me, it's well worth it if you get a chance to see it. Anyhow, having said that, let's turn to Brother Chris Thomas. Brother Chris, I always ask you to, you always do bring us some excellent videos. And so if you could bring up a video tonight, here we go, and see what we have on store. Mr. B.E. Black Excellence.
Welcome to 2021. The year has just
I
begun.
don't know if it could be turned up a little bit.
Here's another
Possible.
poem from a relatively brown-skinned one. But this is not just another pro-black poem, but a progressive statement to say we are done with the racial status and are just
Okay, hear
called
it.
to excellence, to be excellent.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
excellence
I can
speaks
hear.
of itself and requires no explanation, is diligent with the work at hand and always, always shows up on time. We are not late, lazy, or loud, and no, you cannot touch my hair, but intelligent, ambitious, and productive individuals. So think what you like, but we don't fit the status quo. We refuse to conform to stereotypes fitting into white archetypes. Nah, we break the mold. Young black gentlemen, some that grew up on the streets and learned to handle our business, but our business is also in offices. So we can flip it from urban to corporate and you'd be none the wiser. Speak that corporate jargon and know the urban colloquialisms. Heck, you could call us bilingual. We strive for excellence, black entrepreneurs, black dignitaries and emissaries. We are more than just rappers and ballers found on street corners. Black MPs, lawyers, diplomats, and anything else we see ourselves capable of being. Heck, I could be a lord. Now, to some degree, some of you will only associate this poem with the color of my skin, but if you listen, truly listen, you will understand that black excellence is simply to be. B-E. I use the word black because I knew it would get your attention. I mentioned the color of my skin and we already feel uneasy because our minds are programmed to believe that a man's skin tone are the building blocks for his or her success. And if you're black, you should expect less or work twice as hard. So many stereotypes, but none speak of excellence. So I choose to be and break convention and say I can be black and I can be excellent, and the two are not mutually exclusive. Excellence is an attitude. Excellence is a mindset. Excellence is who we are. For excellence is to be. We are all called to be. So calling all beings, black, Asian, Hispanic, and yes, Caucasian, and anything else you see yourself being. The I am put an excellent spirit in thee. Sure, the packaging may differ, but what's a gift without wrapping paper? Because gifts is all we are. An indelible light that shines bright when we accept the greatness that was put in one man to benefit another. Excellence. Interpret this how you like, but this is not just another pro-black poem. This is a call to all beings to be excellent. So I'll end this with Shakespeare's famous line. They'll echo through time to challenge your mind. To be or not to be? That is the question. Black excellence.
Cool. I think I noticed what's going on with mine. I may need to go out and come back in. I think my computer's volume's down. And even when you guys are talking, I'm sort of straining to hear it. So then I was looking to see if I could pull it up, and I don't think I can for some reason. So I'm going to go out and come back in real quick. Ro, did you have another piece that you would like to lift up, or something you'd like to talk about, and then we'll do the same with Neil?
What's that?
And the other thing you can do, Ro, is tell us about your business for those persons that may be interested in your service. You're still muted right now, though.
I'm sorry, I always mute during the videos.
Yeah.
I started this, oh gosh, it's been a couple of months now. It's funny how time goes by quickly, when you're not really thinking about it. I started an editing business, clean page editing. I guess maybe I'm gonna say 4 months ago. I was surprised. I've gotten quite a few clients who I've been working with. I'm actually working with a couple of people where I'm rewriting novels, and that's exciting because it gives me an opportunity to venture into other genres that I don't particularly, what I write that I don't particularly write, and been doing a lot of research. The one individual who we're the same ethnicity, but a different culture. She's from Sudan. And writing this book for her has caused me to venture out and really dig deep into that culture. So I realize now that all these other genres, and particularly ones that I don't write in, for me, is an opportunity to really expand my writing. And that's the thing I think I'm enjoying about it the most. I love anything that has to do with history, but I've never really thought about, just other cultures, a different culture, but the same ethnicity. It's a different type of write.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
I can hear you really loud and clear now. Yeah, I was way down. I had no idea. I was wondering why I was straining so much, but okay, I'm good. Thank you, thank you. And Brother Neil, I know that you also publish your own works and this kind of thing. You know, tell us about your work and how people can utilize either your service or just something that they can utilize if it's not your service with something that's out there that you would recommend people tap into if they're an aspiring writer.
Well, if they're an aspiring writer, I definitely refer them to tap into, if you are an aspiring writer, if you're putting together a book, then I definitely always tell them about Queenie Clem. They look into Queenie. And now that Ro has got her editing service up, and I can refer them to her for editing. Because that's a very, very critical piece. And a lot of people do put together their book and write books. And, everybody writing books now because, like I say, you can put it on Amazon and they're just putting stuff together and not even edited. It's independent. And it really affects some of the good independent writers because if you go to some of the newspapers, they don't want to deal with independent writers, authors, because of the reputation of them having works that's not professionally done. So they close their door to independent authors, only deal with the traditional publishing authors.
Yeah.
It hurts us when you have people putting out stuff that's really not professionally done.
Yeah.
And that's very important. But a lot of the work isn't professionally done. And when certain people get that, run across books and they buy a book and it's got all these different errors in it and they got an issue, and then they start stereotyping all of independent authors and they don't want to deal with them because it's just y'all, your stuff is not right.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah,
That's important.
I also think one of the benefits of being an indie author is that we're not under anybody's time gun to get anything out. So, like if you're trad, you're under a time limit of when they need to get that stuff out. I mean, of course, you'll get a whole team of people who will edit for you, but it's still a timeline that you must follow. And as an indie publisher or indie author, I don't have anybody's timeline, so I should be able to take my time and do it, professionally. But it also takes money to do that. So it's also like I was sharing with someone who's beginning to write a book. And I said to them, the first thing is you need to know what your why is. And then the second thing is that you need to do the market research. And then the third thing is you need to immediately begin to budget for what you want. And those three things right there take some time. And those are sort of the three things you need to do even before you sit down to your computer and start to write. If you haven't done those three things, then more than likely you're not really prepared to see your whole project through.
And the other thing you have to tell them, because it's just not reality unless you say, and you have to be flexible, because life shows up for everybody. And
True,
people say it
exactly.
doesn't. Yeah, if you're not flexible, you might as
Yep,
well just
exactly.
get out the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it just is what it is, especially for independent writers and especially for the average person. It's just it's gonna be that way. But your point's well taken, and absolutely, you gotta do all three of those things and understand that if you can't bend, you're gonna break, okay? Somewhere
Exactly,
along the line. That's
exactly.
just the way it is.
Yeah.
That's why so many people give up, because it's, oh, I can't do that. Da. Yeah, you can. It's just gonna take more time. And you have to be malleable. You have to be able to, come on now.
And
Get
and
fit
to
it
know
together.
that it's a process. It's not like you can't sit down
Yes.
about a book in a day, a really good book. It takes
Yeah.
time because
Takes time.
I
Yeah.
was sharing with someone that before I can really get into like the rhythm, the cadence of writing a story, I got to know the characters.
Mm.
If you don't really know the characters, like now what I'm writing, I've taken so much time in getting to know the characters. It's like I could be sitting in a room with one of my characters and know what they're going to say. I know what they're wearing. I know some of their favorite foods. I know what they would do in a certain situation. So when you get to that point, then it becomes easy to write the story because you know exactly where your characters are going to go.
Yeah. And everybody may not get it, folks. Don't think that everyone's gonna fall in love with your story simply because you wrote it. And because you poured your heart and soul into it. It's your story, and you gotta remember, you don't need everybody. You just need somebody that appreciates your story. And so that's the other piece. People get upset, they're trying to sell their books or whatever. It's called competition and it's called perspective. Someone's gonna resonate with your story, with your vision. They're gonna see the twists and the turns and really appreciate that. Others don't because they don't have those life experiences or they're looking for something different or whatever. It's like country western music to me. I mean, there was a time when I'd be like, country western music, what? And there's some country western music I actually like now, be honest about it, because it's changed and I've changed. When I grew up, like, all country western music sounded the same to me. I'm like, what the heck is this? Now you hear stuff and you say, oh, that's supposed to be country western. Yeah, but it's telling the story. It has a little bit more soul to it, whatever. And you have more of a mixed culture of people coming to that genre now called country western. It's changed a little bit. I've changed a little bit, boom. So yeah. So we just have to understand the process, but a lot of the process happens with us. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems to me that my telling of the story, whatever that story might be, and you're telling of the story, whatever the story might be, could be totally different, but appreciated. Both could be appreciated by the same person. One person could sit down and say, well, this is totally different but I because they can relate to it in certain kinds of ways. And I go back to that movie, the book of
Clarence?
Professor Clarence. Yeah, Clarence. As a Christian and someone who's grown up in the church and all that, I look at that and I'm thinking, but also as someone who actually believes in the fact that African spirituality is not something to be afraid of. And there's a whole lot to be said about the mindless following of some stuff when you start peeling back King James and some of these other things that happen. It's like if you don't question, then you're not alive as far as I'm concerned. And I think God wants us to question because the truth will set us free. But sometimes we just stop right here because that's all we know and that's all we want to know. And don't confuse me with the facts, that kind of thing. The book of Clarence will confuse you. It will make you say, wait a minute, because it's telling it from a different perspective than what we've always been taught. But it's the same story. It's just simply saying, wait a minute. And then I go back to just a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, hearing Billy Graham. I had never heard this before. And Billy Graham speaking to a huge audience back in the day. And he says, and to my black, followers here, there was a black man that carried that cross of Jesus when Jesus was going up that hill and couldn't carry the cross. There was a black man that carried that cross. And don't you forget that. And he went into this whole thing. I'm thinking he said that back in the 50s. I'm like, what? And he really hammered that thing home. He said about God was there for everybody, And don't you think for me, he said, but when it came down to carrying that cross, no one stepped forward before that black man stepped forward. I thought, go ahead, Billy Graham. And then he said, and by the way, Jesus had to look more like you than me. He said, it's just a fact. that Jesus would have had to look more like an African, he said Negro back then. He said that he wasn't super, maybe, he said somewhere in between, but he was more brown. He wasn't looking like me. He said that back in the 50s. A whole bunch of people looking at Billy Graham like, wait a minute, Billy, we like you, but okay. So that story's been out there for a long time. But how many people, even our people today, you can't say nothing about that Bible or anything else because, to question it is to be, heresy, the whole bit. But then when you think about the development of it, who wrote it? And by the way, if I stab my name and say Nate's version, and King James version, whatever, doesn't that tell you something? As a little kid, I figured that one out, but I digress. I don't want to get into all that. But I thought, wow. And then I said, watch CNN, and they talk about the development of Christianity and the Pope and what the Pope did and the Catholic Church and how that they just murdered people and all this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, wow. So if we can't digest that, can we digest your story? Can we look at your story and question? And, I want you to question my story. I want you to get so deep into it that you think it's powerful enough that you actually have. If you just look at it and say, oh, okay, then I realize I didn't say nothing. But if you actually get involved in it and you question it and you're, like you said, Ro, you talk about those characters, it's as if they've come to life, And I don't know if you guys saw this real quick on Facebook where this woman goes into a bookstore and she's acting out the character of Misery. Anyone see that? I mean, it's a white female, and you saw the movie Misery, right? And she got so into the character, and when she changed the character and the character died, the woman goes off and tied him to the bed and broke his legs and all this kind of stuff. Well, this woman goes in and acts that out. She said, you don't have the book? You mean to tell me you don't? And she just goes crazy, about this character and how could you not have, how can you call yourself a bookstore? And it took people a minute to understand what she was doing. And it was like, but someone it was a dare, or she was pledging a fraternity or something like sorority or something like this, because she got into it. And the folks were like, call the cops, call the cops. She was just acting out a role, But that is something that people can go that crazy about a book, about something that you write. Yeah. Isn't that something? As if they're real people. That's power, man. We hold a lot of power, folks. And if you're not out there writing with power, let me say this to all the people that listen in. If you don't think for a minute that what you're writing has importance and that this is going to resonate with somebody, it's going to speak to someone's soul, and the question is, why are you writing? Because it's going to speak to somebody's soul. I don't care what you write, How many times did we have to repeat that thing when we were kids? Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. Man, didn't we remember that crap? I mean, I can say that now, 900 years later, I can still remember that thing, boy. And so why would it teach us that? Why did that, stick out in our mind? And it told us a story. That little rhyme told us a story about a lamb who went to school, waiting for Mary. So you guys did learn that, didn't you? And that's all think about
right.
that. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Right. Jack fell down and broke his crown. And Jill came tumbling after. Why y'all telling me this stuff? And why do I remember it?
That's like the if you remember Dick and Jane.
Oh yeah.
Well, now they had somewhere, I don't know, it's probably on Facebook. They said, yeah, I remember reading about Dick and Jane, but whatever happened to Leroy and Sequita or some name like that.
Yeah. But remember now, there's Dick, Jane, and Sally. Don't leave Sally.
Yeah. Oh, don't forget Sally. But they were talking about, but whatever happened to Leroy?
Yeah, that's right. Well, that was Leroy was called back then Little Black Sambo. That's what can you imagine they taught us that crap back in the 50s? Little Black Sambo. Oh my God. We had the book, man. Come on.
Yeah. I had the book somewhere.
Yeah. So none of that stuff was just, kind of, it's just cute. It was, in a lot of ways, political. It was teaching us something, telling us something. And, we weren't seeing ourselves with the picket fence and the intact family. We've been around here.
Well, that's like if they talk about the song that they play when the ice cream man comes.
Well, yeah.
Barbecue has a totally different connotation. That's why
picnic
people say we're going to a barbecue.
Yeah, barbecue and the
We
picnic.
say cookout, we
No?
don't say barbecue.
Yeah, we say we do understand the difference, and it's all culturally based. And I heard a guy on Facebook breaking down the whole thing about when we were kids dressing up as St. Patrick. St. Patrick's Day came, you all wore green. We were honoring St. Patrick, and he was breaking down. Said, do you know anything about St. Patrick? And the fact that he, some people see him as a mass murderer and all this kind of stuff. It's like, wow, So how would that be? Well, it is what it is. But we go far afield. But here's the thing. It all depends on who's telling the story. You have to keep in mind who's telling the story, the perspective. And they always say the story is a little bit different from the hunter's perspective than it is from the lion's perspective. The hunter hunted the lion, but the lion also had a story. And I always go back to King of Solomon. When I say King of Solomon, what comes to mind? Anybody remember? King of Solomon.
The baby.
You're thinking something else. You're thinking biblically.
Yeah,
See, that's what
the dividing of the baby, the two women who were arguing who's the baby, and King Solomon's thought was, let's just cut the baby in half. You get one and the other one gets one.
But you're demonstrating exactly my point here. Neil, when I say King of Solomon, what comes to your mind?
When you say King Solomon comes to my mind and start dealing with the proverb, that's the first thing come to my mind.
So I'm thinking of the Lone Ranger. Tonto always said, what? King of Solomon. I remember that?
Oh.
Always.
Yeah.
Solomon. I'm thinking, what the heck is King of Solomon? And the first thing that came to your mind from your perspective, both of you, right? And me too, was what Solomon, but when he said it, this Indian was always cut. And so I remember reading this somewhere or something like that, but it's almost like saying master or something like that. But anyhow, they said, why did Tonto always use that phrase? When he spoke to the Lone Ranger, And by the way, the Lone Ranger was a character that was really based off of an African American gentleman, and that story
Bass Reeves.
Bass Reeves,
Reeves.
right? Yeah, that's right. And this is my man, Dr. Dan Snowden is on. By the way, Bass Reeves is a series that's on right now too. Is it on HBO or what's it on?
It's on something, yeah. It's streaming on something. I don't know. I don't even know what it was, but yeah.
It's streaming on one of them. So I started checking. I got to get more into it. We got so much stuff to be watching times. But anyhow, interesting story. Dan, how you doing?
Thanks for yourself.
Real good, real good. I'm glad
how you doing, Dan?
Yeah.
Fine, thanks for yourself, Neil. Hey, Ro.
Dan never comes on the screen, but he's always on. I give him credit for that. So thank you, my brother. And thanks for speaking up. I didn't know you were here. Yeah. But anyhow, listen, we were just reading, both Ro and Neil shared some stuff with us, and we were just kind of rambling on and talking a little bit. I see it's now about 16 minutes after 8 o'clock, at least by my clock. Let me see what my official cell phone says here, 8:14. So I'm going to ask Brother Chris if he doesn't mind bringing up another video, and then we're going to go back and sharing one more time. And Dan, we're going to ask that you share something with us as well.
Okay, be happy to.
Okay, so we're going to ask Brother Chris if he can bring up something for us. There we go. All right, spoken word. Jesus is the answer.
I'm Brother Rain, spoken word. Jesus is the answer. Lord knows I'm a sinner, but after I gave my heart to God, I became a winner instead of Satan's chicken dinner. Cause Jesus is the answer. I used to lie just to fit in with friends, but since I gave my heart to Jesus, I don't even have to do that again, cause Jesus is the answer. I used to have a good day and don't think I committed a sin, even though I really did sin. But Jesus is the answer. I used to think about nobody but me instead of meditating on Mark 11:23. For verily I say unto you, whosoever say unto this mountain, be thou removed and be thou cast into the sea, Jesus believes in me, because Jesus is the answer. I used to date this girl, first name World, last name Lust. Now that girl had all my trust, but Jesus is the answer. I even cheated on her with her best friend, first name Hate, last name Sin. The only thing that girl did was left me a broken man, while Jesus saying, son, knocking on my heart, saying, let me in. But Jesus is the answer. I used to say, well, let me give up and give this Jesus dude a try. I will not deny. I will not lie. So I gave this Jesus dude a try. I became a Christian. I started living the right life. Rent was due. Bills started to pile up. So I wanted to give up. So I gave up and I gave everything to Jesus Christ. Not knowing he died for me, he also paid the ultimate price. He sacrificed his life for my life. Because Jesus is the answer. I love you, Brother Reigns. God bless.
All right, God bless you, my brother. All right, good piece. And I like the refrain. We declared loud and clear, Jesus is the answer. That was the refrain. And then the in between, the rhyming scheme was really, really, really good. And the brother did it in his car too, by the way. Go ahead now. Good stuff. Hey, Zell, how you doing? Good to see you. All right. I'm glad you checked in. I wanted to ask you about your experience last week, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But this is the Zill Powder out of New York, so glad to have you on. And my way of Trinidad, I always got to add that in because that's truly a part. Good stuff. So I'm going to ask Dan if you don't mind, since you're just on for the first time, and to do a piece, and then we're going to go back around and
Sure.
yeah, do one
Sure,
piece,
be happy
Dan,
to.
and get us going too. Okay.
Okay, got one right here for you called Geology and Life. The science of geology supports all of life upon planet Earth. Without its consummate presence, humans, flora, and fauna have no birth. If there were no geology, then no materials or energy sources would be. Thus, it pays for all of us to give this science a much more closer see. More importantly, without geology, water resources would be no more, and society as we know it would soon follow out the same door. Again, if no geology were here to help with understanding natural disasters, all persons who live upon planet Earth would meet their collective demise all the faster. These are but a few examples of geology's role in life. Perhaps taking this science more seriously could lead to worlds of less strife.
Good stuff. Thank you, Dan. Dan is a scientist, and he's stayed true to his calling there. His poetry always has good rhyming scheme, and he does a lot of good stuff. In fact, I think he has some stuff, and I said this before, that once he finally puts that book out, Dan, which I know you should do, I think there's some stuff that young people could really resonate with, the dinosaurs that you do and some other things. So thank you. Let me say this real quick too before I forget, and then we're going to go and ask Lazille to do a piece. And so, if Lazille, you could be ready for us, and then we're going to swing back to both, Neil and Ro. That is, we are still recruiting for our chaplain's assistant program, and we have our class tomorrow morning. We have it once a month. It's the third Saturday of each month. And if you listening to this program tonight, have any interest whatsoever, I hope you do. If you just want to come out and check it out and see what it's all about, it's a free program. The training is, just about the whole year. Will be done in October. We have our graduation in October. It's only the third Saturday of each month, and we will train you to be, like I said, a chaplain's assistant. We'll get you into the hospitals and show you the ropes and all that kind of stuff. And we have excellent presenters, absolutely excellent presenters. It's free. It's sponsored by UPMC. It is to bring this, program that I created years ago, and it's part of what's called Life Esteem Ministries. And so we'll give you all of the material you need. You don't have to bring anything. And we always have a lot of fun too, by the way. We keep it light and tight, and we keep it right. And we want you to, consider being a chaplain. So we need more chaplains in the hospital. And by the way, the hardest thing that you'll have to learn is how to listen. There's no magic to this at all. Being an ever-present help for the Lord, you don't have to show out. You just have to show up. And we'll show you how to be present and let God speak. And also, let persons tell their story and not you tell yours. And also, as we help them, we use a formula called listen, clarify, listen, and then options. We never give answers because we don't have any, but we do have the ability to help people sort through their options and understand, how God can lead them and guide them. Jesus left us the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit will give us all that we need. So all we got to do is show up and allow the Holy Spirit to speak through us. It will speak through the patient first and foremost, we have to help the patient hear the movement of the Holy Spirit. So we listen, we clarify, we listen, and then help people for options. If you're interested, class starts tomorrow at 9 a.m. and goes into 12 noon. 9 a.m. to 12 noon. And by the way, if you're down in York or Lancaster, we do a Monday night class. Each class is 3 hours long. So on the Monday nights, we only do an hour and a half. So if you do 2 classes on a Monday night, that equals 1 class. In order to graduate, you have to put in 10 classes. And then we actually have a second option with Reverend Paul Dirksen. That's another year-long process. But in that class, they do what they call verbatims. Okay, and the verbatim is a powerful tool that we use in what's called clinical pastoral education. I just want to say that since I have a captive audience here, and let you know that that program is free. It's at 900 South Arlington Avenue. 900 South Arlington Avenue. You can just come in. You don't have to pre-register. Just come in and we'll give you all of the paperwork that you need, walk you through the process, and you'll be on board. And you can get in 10 classes between now and October. So again, tomorrow being the 20th of January, and we're at 900 South Arlington Avenue. That's located out in the Union Deposit area of Harrisburg. And this is just a block up from Community General Hospital, if that gives you a landmark. It's in the Pennsylvania United Church Center, and it's called, the Life Esteem Chaplains Training Program. And we're connected with Janine Bible Institute, which is actually located out of China, by the way. And we have a lot of good African brothers and sisters who are being trained every single week, every single day, quite frankly, through that institute. Having said that, let's go back to our purpose. I'm going to ask Nazil, since you just got on, if you can give us a word too. By the way, let me ask you real quick, how did everything go? You came down on Monday, right? Is that right? You're muted, Nazil.
You're muted. Yeah.
Mhm.
It was Saturday.
Oh, it came down Saturday. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was down in Lancaster, right?
Last Saturday.
Okay, yeah. How did it go?
It was good.
All right. You
It
get a
was
chance
good.
to.
I recited 2 poems, had my
Wonderful.
artwork on display. Everybody liked it. Didn't get sales,
Good.
but like I was telling Brother Chris before, it's something you have to keep at it. Like whether I come by you or anywhere around Harrisburg or anywhere out here, you just have to keep coming so people will know who you are and stuff. So I guess I have more of that to do, to be
Well, one of the things we need to do with you is what we're going to do with our sister-in-law, and that is we need to get some of your product and have it here so it can be selling even though you're not here. So we'll talk more about that offline, but there's a Naziri gallery and a couple other places where we could actually maybe have your works displayed, and we could help you to maybe get some sales, and that way you don't have to always pay money to come down to Harrisburg, so we'll talk about that, all right? But
Yeah.
I'm glad that you hooked up with Brother Micaiah Brown. And he's been doing some great work. In fact, I saw the event on Facebook and it looked really, really good. So hats off to Brother Micaiah Brown for doing what he does, and he's been doing it for years. And I'm so glad you were able to connect.
And that's one more thing. You know Maurice Williams?
No, that name sounds familiar.
Maurice.
Yeah.
He is a chapter of the NAACP.
NAACP? Okay. Probably down in Lancaster, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he sent me like a list of different events, and they have an art exhibition on February the 2nd, and he want me to come and bring my art to show up and get to meet other artists and have my work on display.
Yeah. Good stuff. Okay. Well, let's talk about it, okay? Because I know that you have to weigh those balances of the expense of traveling and all that kind of stuff back and forth. That's not cheap. So, okay, we'll wrap. All right.
Yeah, I may have to move down. I have to move down there. Well, if we all have place there for me.
Come on down. That would be excellent. Yeah.
I'll leave New
Why don't you get
York
to
and come down.
That sounds good. It's possible. People do it all the time. Yeah. So why don't you read a piece for us?
Sure. When I think it was December when they had the Kwanzaa, when Rose saw me for the first time, she said, "Oh my gosh, look at your cheekbones." So Rose, that's what I did. I did the poem. I said, you know what? I told her, I said, well, maybe I should do a poem on cheekbones. So
Yes, you have gorgeous cheekbones. All that heritage in your face. It's fabulous.
So I did it today. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna surprise her with this piece with cheekbones. So it goes like this. Crafted like buildings of architectural skill. It's chiseled like mountains. Buildings that welcomes humanity to enter and breed, like home, a playground, to be a part of something, nestled quietly as it radiates power and strength. They are like bridges, like strong towers. They represent who you are. It's your culture, your trademark. It's what you know about yourself. Just play with it, move it around, see it shine. It's like the golden sun on the rise and the highlight of your life. It took time to perfect and place in the right space. It's your race that makes up your face. It's art, it's manifestation of life. It's earth, it's people, it's us. It's being born from special genes and special talents. It matches structures and tones of color. It can be the rainbow or the moon that shines. It is nestled and comfortably protected. It's the weapon of courage and uses it well. It took dimension and a plan that's like the blueprint of character. It's your heritage. Just own it and use it to perfection. That's it.
Very nice. Wow. Cheekbones sparked all of that. That's good.
Yeah, yay, I liked it.
Yeah. Mhm. Good stuff. Yeah. Now, are you putting? You've read a lot of good stuff to us lately. Are you putting that in the book that's
I
coming up?
need to get a book. Yeah, I need to put it in. Yeah. If
Okay.
you're willing to help me with it, let's go.
Let's go. Let's make it happen. Okay. Good. Yeah, you ought to, yeah, think about that, how you can maybe get the collection. Yeah. Good stuff. Thank you so much. Well, let's go back around to both Ro and Neil. I don't know who wants to read first. If you have something that you still like to share, either one.
I got one. I don't think I've read this before.
Okay.
Actually, my husband inspired this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a gypsy.
Mhm.
Corporate gypsy. Which one did I want to be? Which one is the real me? Assimilation, accommodation equal to frustration. Two sides of Eve. Who will emerge on top? When can I find the time to show them my genuine self, not wrapped up in pretended pretenses of satin, silk, and fancy political correctness and acceptance? Crown growing, long skirts flowing, proper pumps left to the side in favor of flip-flops, unpainted nails, and the smell of patchouli blowing in the breeze. All pretenses of straight-laced Sally Mae going fishing for the girl who goes barefoot and gypsy-free. Have you laid your eyes on the black girl that doesn't let the world skin her back like a peeled onion, exposing the white parts clear down to the assimilated bone? Did you find her sitting amongst the old folks on the back porch, popping string beans and watching the neighbor children singing Miss Mary Mack? That's all her. Ain't no false profiling and styling to the prim and proper societal ways. This girl is the real girl, the genuine Black woman, all woman. This woman is the real me, the free me. Yes, it's me.
Oh, nice. I gotta ask Pat Chewy. Break that down for me, please. What is Pat Chewy?
It's like it can either, you can come in an herb, or it's also like a essential oil.
Okay.
And it has a real, like It has a unique smell to it. And it's one of the smells that I really, really like. Truly.
Oh,
Yeah. But it's an acquired taste.
I can imagine. Yeah,
You always tell me you're such a gypsy.
yeah.
Or bohemian than I am.
Beautiful imagery to that piece, though. Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, that was good.
Thank you.
I like the part with the peel onion.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, descriptive through and through. Couldn't have done
Yeah.
better.
That was very nice.
Yeah. So, Brother Neil, did you have another piece that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I'll read another scene from The Rise and Fall of the Fourth Reich. Different type of approach. This scene is different. With hands inside his pockets and thoughts across his face, William leaned back on the bottom bunk. Moments later, he left the room and went outside. Keisha was on the veranda singing. What is the name of that song, William asked? I haven't given it a title yet, she replied. You write songs? Yes. That's awesome. Why do you work here?
Dr. Snowden, can you mute yourself? I know you're coughing, but yeah, if you can mute yourself, I'd appreciate it. And then we'll have you come back in. Sorry about that, Neil.
Okay. That's awesome. Why do you work here? You should be in Hollywood writing songs for the superstars. Maybe one day. How old are you? 23. How long have you been working here? Since I was 17. Mr. Jeffries got me this job after I was released from juvenile detention. Where are your parents? I don't know. You don't know. I ran away from home when I was 13. Where was home? Deerfield, Colorado. Have you heard of it? I hadn't until now. Tell me about it. My mommy told me that my grandparents were among the first residents. She said in 1910 the town was 160 acres of desert when a black man named Oliver Toussaint Jackson established the land as a colony for black families. She said the land was worth $25,000 at the time, but in 1921 the value was over $750,000. What? That's right, over $750,000. He said God blessed the town for a lot of rain so the farming would be plenty. He said sometimes the only place it would rain in the state was Deerfield. Wow. What did they harvest? Things like corn, vegetables, potatoes, barley, oats, strawberries, and cantaloupes. He said they shipped the harvest to Denver, about 70 miles away. She said Deerfield became wealthier because of the demand for agricultural products during the Great War that soared the prices. But she said God got mad at the people and stopped the rain, and the people started leaving for Denver. When did you leave? I left with my mom in 1971. I was 13. I didn't like the man my mommy married. He would come into my room at night. When I told her, she believed him, so I ran away and got into trouble. I don't know what my life would have been if I hadn't met Mr. Jeffrey. Stop there.
Powerful. Wow. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the background of that. What, break it down for us a little bit.
Yeah, that's a scene. William is the young reporter from Harrisburg, and he's out in Wyoming working on a story of this guy who is a part of the coup. He's the financier of the coup. Deerfield, Colorado is actually a place that actually existed, right? It's not a piece of fiction. That all that's in there about Deerfield is true. The gentleman that found it is true. I mean, it was a desert. In 1910, it was just a desert. And they bought the land, and suddenly it started raining. And the place became very prosperous. That's why the property went up from 25,000 to 750,000. And so it was a very powerful place, but it's now a desert again because it stopped raining. And it became a desert now. So it's there. It's like a ghost town now. If you go there, It's just a ghost town.
Mhm.
It's gone. It's back to a desert again.
All right. I like the way you take, you know, fiction and nonfiction and marry them together
Yeah.
to tell a powerful story. Good stuff, man. All right. Good, good, good. Huh. You know, there was an article done on the Writers' Workshop back on November 2021, Harrisburg Magazine. I want to put up this picture if you guys can see that. You'll see Ro and Wendy, myself, and also, um, come on, what's the brother's name? Oh, Keontae. I don't know why I'm blanking on brother Keontae Ricks. But this is a story much more than a workshop. And this was a story written by Makisha Wolf, who was a graduate of Harrisburg High School. And then there was a bigger article by Randy Gross. But I do want to thank the Harrisburg Magazine for thinking of us. And if you get a chance to, you know, grab hold of an old issue of Harrisburg Magazine, they did a nice job, a wonderful job about telling the story of the Writers' Workshop and, you know, why I came into being and all that kind of good stuff.
How long ago was that?
Say it again.
How long ago was that?
November 21st. It was November of 2021.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so that was like, year and something months ago. Yeah. And this was I mean, the more I look at this article, wow, they really did pour a lot into it and really told the story. So glad to have this. Again, that was Harrisburg Magazine, and you know, yeah. We're working on another anthology. In fact, the first anthology, the Writers' Workshop ever really did, we haven't revamped. I want to thank Terry Martinez for taking on that project, and she's been working diligently on it. We're hoping to have it out in February of this year, so in time for Black History Month. We are planning another event for Black History Month, by the way. We're looking probably at the end, I think it's the 17th we're looking at of February here in Harrisburg, out there at the Deluxe Lounge where we were this past Monday to do a Black History program and using both poetry and storytelling to tell the story of Black history and all that. Again, having vendors and having, you know, food and just a lot of fun. So it should be real cool. In fact, I see Nicole. No, this is okay. No, that's someone else. But anyhow, Nicole Wilkerson, Nicole's making it happen, and I are working on that project, and we'll be approaching the board. We need to have another board meeting and talking about some things and all that. But you know, Writers' Workshop is still going strong. So let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. And for those of you who don't know, again, we're going to establish again an in-person. We may do it just once a month, or you know, I don't think we're going to do it every week. But we will have at 900 South Arlington in-person readings and get a chance to bring writers together, both online as well as in person. And if you want to sell your books and all that, but we'll definitely do the open mic reading and then hopefully encourage people to sell their books, no cost, no vendors and all that kind of stuff. Just, you know, supporting you, the writers that have books. If you want to sell them, that's what, you know, what we'll be promoting, okay? All right. So topic, is there a particular subject or topic that you want to talk about? We have about 15 minutes left for the workshop tonight. I always like to speak to those persons out there who are aspiring writers and encourage them to write. And there is a resource, and I don't know if you can, this is the 2018 edition here, but it's called Black Authors and Published Writers Directory. And it comes out every year, and it's Grace Publishing Company. And this has a lot of your editors and your writers and your places, you know, Black newspapers. It's a great resource. The African American museums and magazines, a little bit of everything's listed here. And, you know, they highlight some major writers as well as producers. And, you know, maybe you're looking for an agent. They have those persons in it. A lot of entertainment attorneys are listed in there. It's well done. It's a great book. And, you know, they have addresses and all that. And so I would suggest that you look it up and, you know, see whether or not there's the latest edition. Like I said, I have just about all of them. But anyhow, this is the 2018 one. I was able to put my finger on. And from time to time, I go through this and use it, and you'll find a lot of great, the established writers and the indie writers. In fact, I had to smile when Ro earlier you were talking about the subject, you mentioned the indie, you always said that, but then this time you didn't say tradition, you said the trad. And I said, you always throwing out them acronyms, the trad. I said, I know that means traditional, but anyhow, the traditional versus the independent. Brother Neil was talking about the same thing, and how sometimes the independent writer is marginalized because of so many people just throwing things out there and not, doing the due diligence that we must do to be excellent. But yeah, there's a traditional route, when you go to someone who is the more established publishing houses and all of the, hoops that they make you jump through. And then there's the indie route, the independent route. But there are a number of independent press out there as well who are looking for the indie writers. Ro, I know you have some background. Neil, you probably do as well. Who are some of the ones that you work with, if you work with anybody? And the same thing with Azil. I know you have a book of poetry out. That's indie that look for the independent writers.
Xulon is a big one.
Say it again.
Xulon is Xulon. I don't know.
Xulon.
Yeah, Xulon. I think that's how they pronounce it.
Okay. And we can look them up online, of course. Xulon, Xulan.
No, it's Xulon, I believe.
Xulon. Okay.
Actually, I have a. Let's see. Yeah, it's Xulon Press.
Are you saying S as in Sam?
X like a xylophone. Xulon. X.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Xulon. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. I'll look them up, all right?
That's who actually, remember when Samet was here?
Yes.
Yeah, that's who she used to publish her book.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We're starting women's discipleship class in a few weeks. And after I purchased her book, it was just so motivating. I had said to our pastor's wife, because she asked me to facilitate one, and I said, I have just the book. So we're going to use this book as for our women's discipleship class. But I just noticed when you said in the publishers that she's used Xulon.
Now, there's some independent press that are in the category of what they call them vanity press. So you do pay and that kind of thing. Would you recommend Xulon or a vanity press to people that are out there?
I think goes back to those three things that I said you really need to think about is budget. Like if you've got the budget to do that, great, but also make sure that it's a replicable publishing company, because there are some out there that are not.
That's right. Oh my God,
a couple people that were coming to the writers' workshop who had called me later on and shared with me that either they never got what they paid for, the cover was not done the way they expected.
Now let me be clear, you're not talking specifically about Xulon. This is this other one.
No, this is not Xulon. There were just people that I knew who went to Vanity Press and they were not very well pleased, and spent a lot of money, a great deal of my experience with my very, very first book with Vanity Press was after I published it. I mean, it turned out to be a great book. In fact, it did extremely well. I mean, I won an award for my first book, but what I did not like about it was the fact that I did not have access to the original file. Like once it was loaded on Amazon, you know how Amazon offers you their advertising programs that you can go on, like you can reduce the price of your book for a period of time. You can do certain types of promotionals with Amazon. I could not have access to it. Like if I wanted to, like say my book was, I don't know, $7, and for 1 week I wanted to make it 99 cents. I could go on now and I can change the price if I want to. I couldn't do any of that. And I did not like not having access to my own, intellectual material. And I no, we can't do this. So I asked her for all my files back. So you have to be careful of that. Do you have full access to all your material? If you don't, no. You spend all that time and doing all that. And that's what I like being the author. So like I do everything. everything except the editing of my own work, because I feel like you can never find all your own
No,
errors
that's
because
right.
you're too close to it.
That's
But
right.
as far as, like I'm working now with a cover designer, so I have an original cover. I do the formatting. I
Okay,
load the book on Amazon. I load it on Apple, Kobo, Barnes and Nobles, and all of those.
fantastic. And see, we need to talk more about that. Let me jump in there with Neil too, because Neil, I know you have this experience as well. Rover lifted up Zulon and she was talking about, the independent. How about yourself?
I deal strictly with my own as I like Ro in the beginning, my first book, I was exploring different options, and one of them was an agent. And like I said, the agent informed me that once the book was, the contract was signed with the traditional publishing house, and that was it. I didn't have no more control over the book. And so I didn't want to give up I didn't want to give up my soul, because the book was my soul.
Yeah.
I didn't want to give it up. So I said, no, I'm not going to go that way. And like there's a lot of vanity companies out there that, you pay so much and get this. But you can do the book yourself.
Yes.
And like Ro, I do everything myself except for editing. I have an editor person I go to do my editing on my work.
Fantastic.
But you can do it all yourself. So it's not like you really need to have anyone publishing your book. You don't need to do it. You can do everything yourself. Just get yourself, make sure your work is edited, get a professional editor, and publish it yourself. If you're gonna be an indie author, do it yourself. Because you don't need to have a different person. They're not gonna bring anything more to the table than you can already do yourself.
Yeah. Except control over your work.
Right, self-control over your work. They will get control over your work, and they can market it and do whatever, but they can change your book whatever they want.
Yeah.
And there it is. And then, so you really and make sure that you get yourself your work copyrighted. I mean, you gotta have your work copyrighted before you start putting it out there.
Yeah. That's good.
There's people who there's things I saw where you can submit your work. You don't need a copyright. They say you don't need a copyright. You submit your work. I mean, my God.
Yeah.
And this is some traditional publishers too. So
Yeah.
you can submit your work to them. They'll take that work and give it to one of their well-known authors, and they'll stamp their name on it, and bang, it's gone.
It's gone.
And your work is out there, and you ain't. It's my book. All you can do is say, "Hey, that's my work," but you got no, you got no say on it because it's not copyrighted. So there's all kinds of games out there. There's all kinds of things. It's very challenging for an independent author because there's so many different people out there trying to have legitimate business, and all of them are not legitimate. There are some who are very legitimate. So it's a very challenging piece that you have to work with. You got to do a lot of research.
That's right. Let me get Lizelle in there too. Lizelle, you did your book, so tell us about your process. Have you worked with any of these press, or did you just do it all yourself?
The last one that I did, which was Welcome to America, that was from Sweet Mango Publications. She's based in Miami, Florida. She's a good friend of mine. And everything was good. Everything went good.
What all did she do for you?
What's that?
What all did she do for you in terms of producing your book?
What else she did for me?
Yeah, did she do your copyright? Did she do your editing?
Yeah, she did everything.
Okay.
She did everything.
All right. And you were pleased with it.
And she didn't charge me no fee, no big lump sum of money. So it was reasonable for me to pay and stuff. She did it at a price that I could afford.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
excellent. How about when it came down to cover design and stuff like that? Did she also do that?
Yeah, she did that.
Okay.
She did everything. That's the type of person she is. Once she will get a cover, she will edit, she will copy, she will do everything and put it together really nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Is she still in business?
Yes, that's her company. Yeah.
Okay. What's the name of it again?
Sweet Mango Publishers.
Sweet Mango Publishers in Florida. What part of Florida?
Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. Sweet Mango. Okay. I'm writing that down. All right. And I hope that people out there who are listening in will, write that down. What's the sister's
name
name
is Norma.
from Harrisburg, and now she's down in Florida. And she has something about, is it the Cross or At the Cross Publishing? I know she's been on your show, Brother Chris. She's been on one of the shows that maybe Roger Dixon's, whatever. But do you know who I'm speaking of? I don't know if Brother Chris is still listening in at this moment, but oh boy, she's a minister. Anyhow, she's done a lot of great work and has a lot of people who she's publishing as well. And I can't call her name nor and she went through my chaplain's training program. She's excellent, chaplain and minister. But anyhow, I haven't said all that. Sweet Mango. Okay, yeah.
Can I just ask a question? You said you did an anthology. Do I need to submit anything?
We're going to this one. We are going to do one that Terry Martinez said that we're shooting for the summer. We won't have to start submitting our stuff for a couple more months, but she's setting aside somewhere around June to start working on the next anthology. So I'll keep you updated on that. The one she's working on now is one that's already been published, and we're revisiting the whole concept of it, using all the material, but she's repackaging it, and then we're going to really put it out there. We didn't do much with it the first time. I don't think we did it. I know we didn't do it through Amazon or anything, but that's what we're getting ready to do now. So I'll tell you more about that. But yeah, keep your stuff ready, and we will definitely be asking you to submit somewhere around April, May, something like that. Okay? Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, I know, like I said, we're gonna, run out of time here. Brother Chris, did you have one more video for the good of the order that you might want to show us? I know that you racked up a few, and we'll use that as our jumping off point for tonight. Brother Chris got Jesus up on the house here.
He is Jesus, He is the Lord, He is Elohim, He is the Word, He is Christ, He is Messiah, He is King, He is Jehovah Jireh, He is the Lamb of God, He is Emmanuel, the Holy Begotten, the Holy One of Israel. He is the bridegroom, He is the King of Kings, He is the first fruit, He is the Prince of Peace. He is the only one worthy. He is the way maker before beggar could own a tractor. He is the truth giver before truth serum became a truth extractor. He is the lifesaver before lifeguards became a saving factor. He makes our crooked way straight and he doesn't even own a tractor. He's the efficient one, the sufficient one. You want to know more about him? Check Ephesians 1. La 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 la. La 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 la. Ooh. La 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 la. You are the air in my lungs, the breath in my nostrils, the sweetness on my tongue. The whole earth should know this, that I've noticed and I know this, that you made the air and the follicles on my skin. You changed my obstacles to miracles. You are my joy from within. You are the vowels, the consonants in my vowels have been written for you to make me make sense. Turn me into a perfect tense and a complete sentence. But Lord, I'm tensed. Lord, I'm tensed, but somehow you rewind to remind me that you are mindful of me. But Baba God, why do you whine me? That your mind is full of me. Who am I? That you are mindful of me. I'm not just earth dust. I'm not just earth crust. I'm here to make revival a must. The one who is just enough has come to pay the cost. But how come I'm still lost in lust, waiting to be found in your love? A love that knows my name. A love that took away the shame. A love Like, why choose to settle for better when you can be best? Why choose to settle for less just like the rest? Why choose to leave your name on the sands of time when you can carve them on the rock of ages? Why choose to leave your name on the sands of time when you can carve them on the rock of ages? Is Jehovah Sikenu? He chooses to walk on seas even if he sees canoe. Is Jehovah Jireh my provider, the ocean divider? Is Jehovah Rapha my healer, the truth revealer, the signs and wonders dealer? Is the El Shaddai, the Elohim, Jehovah El Gibor, Jehovah El, the one that went to hell but didn't stay in hell? Is Jesus. Woo!
All right. And I think we're going right back up to the time here. Let me look at it. I know we only have a minute or so left. Let's see what we got. Oh, we got 4 minutes. Okay, real good. I always like to stop right on time. And so if I can have, the last word, Brother Dan, I know you only got one in the night. Would you like to do another poem for us? Dan has left the building. It's all good. Brazil, how about you? Would you have another piece you'd like to do?
Yeah, I could.
Okay, we only have a few minutes, so if you could.
But I'm still here.
Okay, well.
Oh, okay.
I didn't leave. I'm still here.
Okay, I'll get you after the second. Go ahead, Azil, do something.
All right.
Quick.
All right, this one is called Woman Thou Art. Woman, big and round, bold, we speak tongues. We are color, we grow, we know, we throw our thighs and hips. We are class, we sing our song that heal hearts, we men. They don't know our stories. We know them too, we live them. Woman, birthed, woman, created. A helpmate from the slave ship. We ran and covered children that suckled. It drained us, but we still pressed on. We lead and fight the tension, man, woman, woman, man, creation, earth, salvation, hand, strength, feet ran, hide from the broken man, the bully man, the sad man, the man that know who he is or how to show. Broken mindset, he is, she is. She held her corner. She's loved, she's hated. She made mistakes, her mistakes. Her flow, her class, it surpassed the mass. Her skin is pure, black, brown, whatever. Bruised, slashed, sometimes made up. Wordy at times, dragging her pain around like a song. Matted hair, she don't care. She's still woman, thou art.
All right, okay, thank you. Good piece, good piece. Dan, would you like to close us out?
Certainly. Here's At the Crossroads. Uncertainty is king at the crossroads. Whenever one's next move just isn't known, all direction, logic, and common sense appear to have been fully overthrown. Facing the crossroads is no easy task, since humanity knows what likes to come next, likes to know what comes next. Yet, when times start becoming nebulous, the results can leave many quite perplexed. Managing the crossroads takes extreme tact, embellished with the guidance of fortitude. Ultimately, an opening comes forth. The main driving force is one's attitude. Therefore, the crossroads can be overcome with proper mindsets remaining intact. Belief that much better times are ahead must be accepted completely as fact.
All right. To the point, thank you. Appreciate that. And I want to thank all of you for coming on tonight to the Wordshop, and hopefully, we'll be able to do this again next Friday by the grace of God. And, whatever you do, just keep writing. And as things come up, and I'll do a better job of telling you about some upcoming events we're going to have, I'll try to have it listed out. And I do know that we have a writer that's going to come on. Terry Martinez is going to be interviewing somebody for us in February. So we do want to get more poets back on, but they will be by invitation only. So if you have somebody in mind that you'd like to bring on and have that person interview to talk about the book, whatever, just give me a call. Let me know. You can always reach me also by way of email. Just go to P as in Pat, Gadsden, Gadsden, at AOL.com. That's P Gadsden, Gadsden, at AOL.com. We'd be happy to consider bringing on, a featured writer that you would like to lift up. And that's for all the people that are on tonight. And for those of you on Facebook, if you'd like to get in on this, email me, and we'll see about getting you on, okay? Thank you, everybody. Keep on doing what you're doing, and words of Chucky Pitts. Right on.
Good night.
We'll see
Good
you
night.
next time.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. That was just been at the World Affairs Council. Oh, it's nice. Hey, the power room. All right. There you go. That's 7:30.